Have you ever wondered why you set dozens of goals, yet most of them never come true? You've written down plans to lose weight, make more money, live with more discipline. But a few weeks later, they're nothing more than words on a page. The problem isn't that you lack determination. The problem is this: goals are not strong enough to change your life. A goal is nothing more than a point in the future, vague, distant, and uncertain. But your life only changes when you have a system, a set of concrete actions repeated every single day, no matter how you feel, no matter your mood. This is the very spirit of Stoicism. Don't wait for a glorious tomorrow. Live with discipline today. In this video, I will share with you a system that doesn't depend on fragile motivation, but on a solid structure. A system that can quietly but surely transform your life. If you've ever grown tired of setting goals only to abandon them, this may be the answer you've been searching for. Stay with me until the end, because this might just be the turning point on the path you've been seeking. Habit 1. Shift from wishing to doing. Habit 1. Shift from wishing to doing. There is a truth we cannot deny. Dreams alone will never change your life. A dream is like a fire in the mind, bright, even beautiful, but it gives no warmth. It glows, but it does not sustain you. Reality listens to only one language, and that language is action. This is the very spirit of replacing goals with systems. A goal is nothing more than a distant promise, a hazy someday that may never arrive. But a system is different. It is the daily steps you take, the habits you repeat. A goal is the moon in the sky. A system is the path beneath your feet. If you only gaze at the moon without moving forward, you will stand still forever. Think about the goal. I want to be healthy. Inspiring words, perhaps, but when you wake up tomorrow, morning, those words will not tell you what to do. A system will drink 2 L of water, exercise for 15 minutes, walk 5,000 steps. These are not wishes, these are actions. And when actions are repeated day after day, you no longer depend on bursts of motivation. You live by the structure you have built. The Stoics never allowed themselves to be trapped in the illusion of one day. They knew that the greatest enemy of growth is the story we tell ourselves to delay action. One day, I'll start writing. One day, I'll take control of my finances. One day, I'll live with discipline, but that day may never come. So, do not just talk about your philosophy. Live it here now, in the smallest of acts. So how do we build a system? It is simpler than you think. Write down actions that are measurable, doable, and repeatable every single day. If your desire is financial freedom, don't write, "I will be rich." Write instead, "Each evening I will track and record every expense of the day." If your aim is health, don't dream of the perfect body. Begin with "Every morning I will exercise for 15 minutes and drink water." If you long for self-development, don't picture a flawless version of yourself. Make it real. "I will read 10 pages a day." Books on the shelf don't transform you. Reading them does. Most importantly, review each day. Ask yourself, what did I actually do today to move forward? Not what I dreamed, not what I imagined, but what I truly did. If the answer is nothing, you've wasted another day. But if the answer is even one small action, drinking water, recording your spending, you've laid another stone on the path you are building. The greatest mistake is believing you can live on imagination. Many do. They keep repeating one day, while reality remains unmoved by empty promises. Reality changes only through action. And the difference between the dreamer and the builder is this: one lives in goals, the other lives in systems. The dreamer stares at the distant mountain peak. The builder takes one step, then another, and before long discovers he has climbed higher than he ever thought possible. Stoicism reminds us outcomes are never fully within our control. Effort, however, always is. Goals are outside your grasp. Systems are within your hands. Only by living through systems daily, steadily, can you shape a life of worth. Because in the end, your life is not built from the dreams you hold in your mind. It is carved by the ink of your actions, by what you repeat, by the system you choose and remain faithful to. That above all else is the path that changes your life. Habit 2. Turn big visions into daily. Habit 2. Turn big visions into daily moves. Have you ever looked at a big dream of yours and immediately felt overwhelmed? You say, "I want to write a book." Yet when you picture hundreds of blank pages, you can't write even a single sentence. You say, "I want to lose 10 kilos." But when you imagine the long road ahead, full of sweat and discipline, you sigh and give up before you begin. Big dreams sound glorious, but if you never break them down, they become mountains crushing your shoulders. So heavy that you cannot take even one step forward. This is why the Stoics taught us to return always to what is within our control. And what you truly control is not the distant result, but the action you take today. You cannot command yourself tomorrow, "I will be a famous author," but you can tell yourself today, "I will write 500 words." You cannot demand next month, "I will lose some kilos," but you can decide this afternoon, "I will walk for 30 minutes. One small action, one small step, but repeated long enough, and you will cover a distance that once felt impossible. Picture this. One man wants to write a book. He spends years talking about it, boasting to his friends that one day he'll create a masterpiece. But year after year the pages remain blank because in his mind all he sees is the giant wall of 300 pages. Another man is quieter, humbler. He doesn't talk much. He simply sets one rule, 500 words every day. A page, then 2, then 10. A year later, he holds a thick manuscript in his hands. Which one is the real author? Not the dreamer, but the one who broke it down and repeated it. This is the spirit of systems. Goals trap you in an obsession with outcomes. Systems focus your mind on the process. And when you live in the process, you free yourself from the crushing weight of the finish line. You don't have to carry the whole mountain. You only need to lift one stone today and another tomorrow. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. It is in imagination that things appear massive and terrifying. But in reality, when you break them into today's work, they shrink into something simple. So simple you can no longer excuse yourself from doing it." The tragedy is that most of us do the opposite. We dream of results. We dream of a successful company, but never spend an hour studying the market. We dream of a strong body, but refuse even a walk in the park. We dream of a timeless book, but never write a single page. The gap between our dreams and our actions is what traps us in illusion. The Stoics would not accept such a life. They remind us that the end result is never fully ours. But effort today is always within our grasp. So don't measure yourself by instant achievements. Writing 500 words today doesn't make you an author. Walking for 30 minutes doesn't make you 10 kilos lighter. But that is not the point. The true measure is consistency. If you can repeat it day after day, you have built a system, and the system, quiet, steady, relentless, is what transforms you. More powerful than any burst of motivation. Remember this: big dreams will suffocate you if you keep them whole in your mind. But if you break them down, if you turn them into repeatable actions, they become a source of enduring strength. 1 page a day builds an entire book. 1 walk each evening reshapes your health. 1 small action repeated over and over is the path to every dream you've ever wanted. Habit 3. Normalize the boring but. Habit 3. Normalize the boring but vital tasks. Vital tasks. Success is not found in shining moments of glory. It is built in the days that feel repetitive, even dull. Waking up to, train each morning, eating with discipline, recording your expenses, writing in your journal. No one applauds when you do these things, yet they are the very foundation of a strong and steady life. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." For him, discipline was never about fleeting inspiration. It was about duty fulfilled daily, whether you felt like it or not. Roger Federer did not become great through one brilliant shot. He became a legend because for decades he repeated the same basic strokes over and over, long after they felt mundane. Michael Phelps did not earn 23 Olympic gold medals through inspiration. He earned them through the habit of showing up at the pool almost every day, even on Christmas. That is the Stoic spirit, not relying on emotion, but on systems. Modern science echoes this truth. The brain has a mechanism, the basal ganglia, that turns repeated actions into automatic habits. Once your brain is programmed, you no longer need willpower. The Stoics knew this 2,000 years ago. They never asked, "Do I feel like doing this?" They asked only, "Is this the right thing to do?" And if it was, they did it again and again, until it became part of their very nature. So, how do we apply this? Turn the boring tasks into something inevitable. Pair them with habits you already have. After brushing your teeth, read 1 page. After making your coffee, write a few lines in your journal. Tie them to your identity. Don't say, "I try to journal each night." Say, "I am someone who journals each night." When actions are tied to identity, there is no debate with yourself. And above all, treat them as non-negotiable. Like breathing, like eating, something you simply do. The greatest mistake is to act only when you feel inspired. People train when they're excited, quit when they're tired. They chase what's new while abandoning the fundamentals. But Epictetus warned, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Once you know who you want to become, you no longer wait for inspiration. You act, you repeat until it seeps into your blood. And here is the secret. The tasks that feel boring today will one day become the quiet strength that carries you forward. Because success is never the result of one dazzling moment. It is the outcome of thousands of invisible days where you remain faithful to small things no one praises. That is the Stoic way to turn repetition into nature, to turn boredom into strength, and to turn each ordinary day into an irreplaceable step on the path to greatness. Habit 4. Follow steady patterns, not pressure. Habit 4. Follow steady patterns, not pressure. Have you ever felt this before? The deadline is only one day away. You sit down at your desk, your heart racing, and somehow through sheer panic, you complete in one night what should have taken a full week. When it's done, you sigh with relief and tell yourself, I work best under pressure. But that is not a strength. That is panic disguised as power. The Stoics never waited for panic to move them. They lived by patterns, by structure, so that life would never need to be a frantic race against fire. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning at dawn when you have trouble getting out of bed. Tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. From the moment he woke, he placed himself inside a framework. To work, not because of inspiration, not because of deadlines, but because it was his duty as a human being. Think of Thomas Edison. He didn't invent the light bulb in one burst of inspiration. He rose each day and followed a relentless pattern. Experiment, fail, record, adjust, and experiment again. Over 1,000 repetitions before success. Had he worked only when he felt like it, humanity might still be sitting in the dark. Modern science gives us another reason to trust this Stoic wisdom: decision fatigue. Every time you ask yourself, should I work out today? Should I right now? You drain mental energy. By the end of the day, you are exhausted not from work, but from decisions. But when you live by patterns, you remove the question altogether. You don't decide, you simply act. So how do we train the mind to follow patterns instead of panic? First, set a fixed schedule. Choose specific hours for your most important tasks. Write from 6 to 7 o'clock a.m. Exercise at 7:30. Study at 8 o'clock. The clock becomes your signal, programming your body and mind like a well-designed machine. Second, use time blocking. Divide your day into clear blocks, one for work, one for study, one for rest. When the time comes, you don't ask, what should I do now? You already know. Finally, eliminate the inner negotiation. Stop bargaining with yourself. Should I do it today? That question no longer matters. Some things are not up for debate. You don't negotiate brushing your teeth. You don't negotiate going to work. Your habits must be the same, natural, automatic, non-negotiable. The mistake most people make is living by mood. They believe they are free, but in truth they are slaves to their emotions. On good days, they act. On bad days, they abandon. One day, they burst with energy. The next, they collapse into apathy. And year after year, they move nowhere. But Epictetus warned, no man is free who is not master of himself. True, freedom is the ability to do what must be done regardless of how you feel. Patterns liberate you from the tyranny of emotion. They give you stability, steady steps, and consistent progress. Now imagine a life free from panic, free from waiting for deadlines, free from chasing inspiration. A life built on rhythm. Mornings you write, afternoons you learn, evenings you train. Day after day, a solid system takes shape. And one day you realize you no longer need pressure to act. It is the pattern itself, the system that carries you to greatness. Habit 5. Own your day to clear your habit 5. Own your day to clear your mind. Imagine a warrior stepping onto the battlefield without a plan, no map, no sense of where the enemy is. He would be struck down instantly. And yet, this is how so many of us step into our day. We wake up with no direction and then allow work, emails, messages, and the world itself to pull us wherever it pleases. At the end of the day, we collapse, drained and defeated with no idea what we were even fighting for. The Stoics would never accept such chaos. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. A chaotic day breeds a chaotic mind, and a chaotic mind cannot lead you to peace, nor to success. The solution is not to do more. It is to take command of your day. From the very morning, write down the 3 most important tasks you must complete. 3. No more. These are your spears on the battlefield, your sharpest weapons. With 3 clear targets, you are no longer scattered by the endless fragments that fight for your attention. Science confirms this. Our brains are not designed to juggle countless tasks at once. When you try to hold everything in your head, stress consumes you. A simple to-do list frees your mind and allows you to focus on the only thing that matters: action. That is why so many great leaders, from Benjamin Franklin to Warren Buffett, live by strict schedules, not memory. But planning alone is not enough. You must protect your focus. Because if a warrior allows the enemy to slip through the lines, the entire formation collapses for you. A single phone notification can shatter your concentration. So turn them off. Divide your day into clear blocks of time. Time blocking, just as we spoke about earlier. In each block, you do one thing. No multitasking, no distractions. When you rest, rest fully. When you work, pour your whole mind into it. The mistake most people make is living in reaction mode. They wake up and react to emails. They work while reacting to messages. They rest but still react to notifications. They are not living, they are only reacting. But Epictetus warned us, you become what you give your attention to. If you cannot control your attention, you will lose yourself. And now we've arrived at the 5th practice, halfway through this journey. If you are still here, I want to congratulate you. Few have the patience and the discipline to reach the middle of the road. So, let me challenge you. Write in the comments below 1 small habit you will begin tomorrow to take control of your day. Don't be vague. Don't be abstract. Make it a concrete commitment written for all to see, because the moment you write it, you've already taken 1 step into action. And stay with me, because the practices ahead will be harsher, deeper, and may hold the very key to transforming the entire system of your life. Habit 6. Anchor habits that last on. Habit 6. Anchor habits that last on rough days. Rough days. There are days when you wake up and all you want is to pull the blanket over your head. Everything in you screams, not today. Today I'll do nothing. I'll skip it. Your body feels heavy, your spirit is low, and every ounce of motivation seems to have vanished. And so you whisper to yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. But don't you see? It is that tomorrow that has killed 1,000 dreams. The Stoics knew this well. If your system only works when you feel good, it is not a system. It is a fragile piece of paper, easily torn apart by the first gust of wind. So, how do you keep your system alive on the darkest days? The answer: lock it in place with a minimum version. If your goal is to read 50 pages each night, then on your worst day, commit to at least 2 pages. If your routine is 1 hour at the gym, then when you are drained, do 10 minutes of stretching or 10 push-ups. Small, yes, but this small act keeps the chain unbroken. It is like a weak flame. You shield it, protect it, so it never goes out. Next, anchor your habit to a fixed point in the day. early in the morning before life begins, or late at night before sleep. When a habit is framed in time, it becomes a non-negotiable milestone. No matter how the day collapses, you still have something to hold on to. One simple, repeatable action is enough to keep you standing. The greatest mistake people make is demanding too much of themselves on days of exhaustion. They set giant standards, and when they fail, they quit altogether. They measure the value of a habit by its length and intensity. But true systems are never measured by explosions of effort. They are measured by persistence. 2 pages of reading each day adds up to 700 pages in a year. 10 push-ups each night becomes real strength over the months. Picture a warrior on the battlefield. Today he is wounded. He cannot swing with full force, but he still grips his sword. He still stands tall. He still holds the banner high, and by doing so, he has already won, not against the enemy, but against surrender. So it is with you. On your hardest days, you don't need to do everything. You only need to keep the system alive. A true habit is not proven on sunny days. It is proven on stormy days. A true system is not defined by how it works when you are strong, but by how it holds when you are weak. And if in your darkest moment you rise and do even one small act, you have already won, not over the world, but over yourself. Habit 7. Create safeguards for your Habit 7. Create safeguards for your low points. Low points. Picture a storm sweeping through a city. Trees are torn from the ground. Roofs fly into the air. Fragile houses collapse in an instant. Yet in the midst of chaos, some buildings remain standing. Why? Because they were built on solid foundations with structures designed to withstand the storm from the very beginning. We are no different. Every one of us will face days of exhaustion, days without motivation, days when hardships strike. If your system is built only for sunny days, you will see rumble the moment the first storm arrives. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The storm is an external event, but you can build an internal structure so that when the storm comes, you remain unshaken. That structure begins with a minimal morning routine. Nothing elaborate, just 3 anchors. Wake up at a set time, drink a glass of water, and move your body for at least 5 minutes. No matter how heavy the day feels, these 3 acts are like pillars that prevent you from sliding into chaos. You begin the day with control instead of surrendering to disorder. Next, prepare a short checklist for bad days. This is not about achievement. It is about keeping your rhythm intact, so life does not break completely. For example, clear your desk for 5 minutes. Write down one positive thought or call a loved one. This list is your safety net. It will not lift you to the skies, but it will stop you from falling too far. And no structure is complete without an environment that supports you. A tidy desk ready for work without distraction. A healthy meal prepared ahead of time so you don't collapse into junk food when you're exhausted. When your environment is designed intelligently, doing the right thing requires little effort. Seneca once wrote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Luck does not appear out of nowhere. It arrives when you have already prepared." And shaping your environment is the way you create luck on difficult days. The mistake many make is designing systems only for good days. They create packed schedules, lofty expectations, and when hardship strikes, it all collapses. The Stoics did not live that way. They anticipated adversity. They built systems not only to thrive in peace, but to endure in storms. So ask yourself, when a bad day arrives, what will you lean on? If you have no structure, you will fall with it. But if you have prepared your safety net, you will stand. And sometimes standing is victory enough, because every storm, no matter how fierce, eventually passes. Music. Habit 8. Design systems that survive failure. Habit 8. Design systems that survive failure. Picture a fighter in the ring. He takes a crushing blow and collapses to the mat. The crowd holds its breath. The referee begins to count. 2, 3. In that moment, defeat seems certain. But then he presses his hands to the floor, pushes himself up, staggering but still standing, and the crowd erupts. Because true victory is not only about knocking down the opponent. True victory begins the moment you fall and rise again. So it is with your life. There will be days you skip the gym, days you forget the book you were reading, days when emotion overpowers discipline and your plan crumbles. That is not the end. That is just a fall. And a true system does not collapse because of one stumble. A true system is what brings you back like the fighter who stands after the hit. The principle is simple. Failure is inevitable. No one has a flawless streak. The common mistake is to confuse a small slip with total failure. You miss one workout and tell yourself, "It's ruined. I might as well quit." You skip one day of reading and think, "I can't keep this up." But that thought, that surrender, is the real failure, not the missed action. So, how do you build a system that survives failure? First, create fallback habits, minimum alternatives that keep the rhythm alive. Skip the gym. The next day, just take a 15-minute walk. Too tired to journal at night? Write a single sentence. Today, I still stood. Small, but it keeps the habit breathing. Second, establish your non-negotiables. The habits you never abandon no matter what. A morning glass of water, 5 minutes to clear your desk. These anchors remind you, I am still on the path. And above all, when you fail, do not condemn yourself. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. A gem shines because of resistance." So do you. Failure is not proof of weakness. Failure is the friction that sharpens you. The Stoics never clung to perfection. They embraced failure as a natural part of the process and then returned immediately to the next action. The greatest mistake is treating failure as a life sentence. But the truth is this: every action is a chance to begin again. Falling does not mean you are defeated. You are only defeated if you refuse to rise. Remember, your system is not measured by how many perfect days you have. It is measured by how quickly you return after missing one. A great fighter is not the one who never falls. A great fighter is the one who falls 100 times, but stands 101. And so it is with you. A true system does not fear failure. It absorbs it. It transforms it. And if you live this way, you will never quit. For every fall becomes the springboard to rise again. Habit 9. Trust. Structure over temporary energy. Habit 9. Trust structure over temporary energy. Have you noticed this pattern? Some days you wake up full of energy. You work productively, you train with intensity, and you think to yourself, if only every day could be like this. But the next morning, you wake up sluggish, unwilling to do anything. You say, I'll skip today, I'll make it up tomorrow. And so, one brilliant day is erased by one unproductive day. Your life drifts in the endless cycle of fluctuating energy and unstable emotions. Here lies the problem. You are placing your trust in something fragile. Energy rises, then falls. Emotions appear, then vanish. If your system depends on inspiration, it will never be sustainable. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you must build your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal, not through bursts of excitement, but through the structure of repeated actions, step by step, action by action. So how do you stop depending on energy? You build a structure that is stronger than yourself. Do not rely on fragile willpower. Create a system that pulls you into orbit, whether you feel like it or not. Sign up for a class fixed at £700 AM. Join a training group where friends expect you to show up. Schedule appointments with yourself as if they were unbreakable meetings. Once the structure is set, you don't need energy to begin, you simply follow. Second, let your environment make decisions for you. Lay out your workout, clothes next to your bed. Place the book on your desk where you cannot ignore it. Use apps that block social media during focus hours. When the environment is prepared, you don't need energy to choose. The path is already laid out. Most importantly, treat your schedule as law, not as an option, not as an idea, as law. You don't wait for motivation to brush your teeth. You don't wait for energy to eat a meal. So why would you wait for inspiration to do something far more important? Your habits must become just as automatic. Think of a train. It doesn't run because it feels like it. It runs because there are rails beneath it. The rails are the structure. And whether under bright sun or raging storm, the train continues forward because the track has already set the course. Your life needs rails just like this. Energy may betray you. Emotion may deceive you. But structure never will. If you truly want to change your life, stop trusting energy. Build structure, and one day you will look back and realize it was not bursts of motivation, but stability and consistency. That was the superpower you had been searching for all along. Habit 10. Take tiny steps beyond. Habit 10. Take tiny steps beyond emotions. Emotions. Look back at the failures in your life. How many times did you abandon a plan simply because you didn't feel like it? You wanted to write a book, but you waited for the perfect mood. You wanted to exercise, but only when you had the energy. You wanted to change yourself, but kept waiting for a special day to begin. And in the end, nothing happened. Here is the truth. Emotions cannot be trusted. Energy cannot be trusted. Motivation cannot be trusted. The only thing you can trust is steps so small, so simple, that you cannot fail to do them. The Stoics knew, whoever allows emotions to rule will never be free. True strength begins when you rule your mind instead of waiting for feelings to carry you. Remember this. You do not need to rebuild your life in one day. All you need is to lay one brick for your system. Instead of dreaming of becoming a reader, read one page and repeat tomorrow. Instead of wishing to be a writer, write one sentence each day until writing becomes breath itself. Instead of chasing a perfect body, begin with 5 minutes of steady movement. Instead of hoping for financial freedom, write down one expense today and repeat tomorrow. These steps are not goals to reach and forget. They are bricks, and when the structure of bricks is maintained, it quietly reshapes your entire life. Even the scriptures remind us of the power of small things. In Luke it says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." What you do today may not change the world immediately, but it proves something greater, that you can keep promises to yourself. And once you can keep the small promises, you will have the strength to carry the great ones. Emotions rise and fall, but small actions stand firm. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, reminded us well-being is realized by small steps, but is truly no small thing. A good life is built from small steps, and that is no small matter. A journey of 1,000 miles, if you wait for the right mood, will never even begin. But if you take one step today and another tomorrow, you will reach the destination without fail. Because the power is not in bursts of emotion, but in steady repetition. And this is the final practice. It is also the thread that ties all the others together. You don't need emotion, you don't need energy, you only need small steps repeated with persistence. That is how you build a system strong enough to change your entire life. We've just explored 10 practices, 10 bricks to conclusion. Build the solid foundation of your life. Each one is a reminder. Don't put your trust in fleeting emotions or distant goals. Put it into concrete actions repeated every day, because in the end, success is not a sudden leap. It is a long road, paved with small, steady, relentless steps. That is the essence of Stoicism. Not dreaming of a radiant tomorrow, but living rightly, living with discipline, here and now. And when you do this, you will see the system you build is the quiet force that transforms your entire life. If you've stayed with me until this point, I believe you are ready to lay the first brick of your own system. Let today be the starting point, and let each day that follows be a firm step forward on the path you have chosen. If this video has brought you value, leave a like, so I know you're walking this journey with me. And don't forget to subscribe, so that each day you'll have a reminder to keep building the system that will change your life. Thank you for spending your time here, and I'll see you in the next video.